And then yesterday, we went and tried to get stuff for this.
How you doing, Mr. Percher?
What do you got?
2 p.m. Do you want? 2 p.m. right now. It's 2 p.m. Do you live Okay, we can help you. Then we got the microphone.
Now let's adjust that to his head, and let's see how loud he speaks, and then I'll adjust it from here.
Okay.
Okay, everybody, let's give Marvin Percher a big hand for coming to entertain us this afternoon. Here you go, Marvin.
Let's see if you can hear me. I'm fine, but can you hear me?
Can they hear me? Yes?
Too loud.
Too loud.
Adjust it.
Here, put it on the tip of your pants.
I'm not getting up, so. Can you hear me in the back?
Yes.
Lower it a little bit more.
A little bit more what?
Lower it.
All right.
Turn it down.
Welcome you all to this Jokerama.
The people in the back have to hear it.
Okay.
I am hoping that I can entertain you for a little while. I am very flattered, for one, that Joanne put me on a flyer with my name anyway, with 3 great comedians, Don Rickles, Sid Caesar, and Mel Brooks. A joke is like a short story. It is comparable to a woman's hemline on her dress. It has to be long enough to cover the subject, but short enough to hold your interest. I just want to say a couple of things about marriage. Marriage has a number of elements, a successful marriage, that holds it together. There's love, of course, there's trust, there's sex, there's compromise, and I should know something about this because Evelyn and I will be celebrating our 68th anniversary this year. Now, I may use the word sex. I hope it doesn't offend anybody. This is not explicit, just a reference to the word. Okay? Now, something personal. Evelyn performed plastic surgery on herself the other day. And people will say, how can a person perform plastic surgery on herself? Well, what she did, she cut up her credit card. Now let me start with some short ones. A man came up to the stewardess at the counter to board the plane, and she said to him, "Let me see your ticket." And he flashed her, and she said, "Sir, I want your ticket, not your stub." A woman wanted to have her picture taken, a portrait actually. So she hired an artist. She said, "There are just certain provisions with regard to my picture. I do not want a double chin. I don't want to see the wrinkles." He said, "Fine." Also, she says, one other thing. "I want to have jewelry, filthy jewelry. I want necklaces and gold and everything. I want fingers on every hand. I want to shine like the stars in the heaven." He says, "I can do all this, but why?" He says, "Because if my husband ever marries again, my wife, his wife, will go nuts looking for the jewelry." 3 guys were standing outside of a church. And one guy says, "You know, I'm going into confession." They said to him, "Confession?" He says, "Yes, I have to go. So he goes in and gets into one of the booths, and the priest gets into the other. And he says to the priest, "Father, I have sinned." And the father said, "What have you done, my son?" He says, "I have had sex with a married woman." "Oh," said the priest, "that's terrible." He says, "Can I have the name of the woman?" "Oh, no, Father. I can't divulge her name." He says, "Well, was it Mrs. O'Reilly?" "No." "How about Mrs. Shaughnessy?" "No." "How about Mrs. Redford?" He says, "Nope, sorry." So the priest says, "Well, you say 3 Hail Marys and that'll absolve you of your sins." He says, "Okay, Father." Goes outside, meets his friends, and he said, "Well, how'd you make out?" He said, "I got some terrific leads." Short ones. A man takes his secretary to a motel, and they make passionate love all day long. So much so that he goes over the time that he's supposed to arrive at home. After they finish, he says to his girl, his secretary, "Go outside and take my shoes and rub them in the dirt. Make sure you get glass clippings on them." She says, "That's crazy. Why?" He says, "Do me a favor. Take them outside and do as I say. I'd appreciate it." So she goes out there, she takes his shoes, she rubs it in the earth, grass clippings and all, gives it back to him, and they depart. They leave. Comes home, his wife says, "You're late." He says, "Yes, I know." And he said to myself, "I may as well confess. She's going to find out anyway." So he says, "Well, I was with my secretary all afternoon and we made passionate love." She says to him, "You're lying." He says, "I'm not lying." She said, "Look at your shoes. You got dirt and grass clippings. You've been playing golf all afternoon." It was Becky and Max, and they wanted to make a trip. So Max says, "You know, I served in the army in France. I'd like to go back and pay a visit." She says, "Okay." So they make the trip back, check into the hotel, and Max says, "I'd like to take a walk." She says, "I'm too tired." So he goes out and he walks along the Champs-Élysées, the main thoroughfare in Paris. As he's walking along, some young girl comes up to him and says, "Sir, you want to have a little fun?" So he figures he may as well go along with her. He says, "How much?" She says, "25. He says, "That's ridiculous. When I was here, it was only $2. She says, "Sorry, prices have gone up." So he walks a little, comes back to the hotel, and Becky says, "Okay, I'm rested. Now I can take a walk with you." So they go down the same Champs-Élysées, and this young girl comes up to him and says, "You see what you get for $2? Max went to the doctor to have himself examined, to check himself out. Older man, little hard of hearing. He's checked out by the doctor, and the doctor says, "Now all I need from him is a urine and stool specimen." So he says to his wife, "What did the doctor say? I can't hear him." She says, "He wants your underwear." Let's see, Betty and Max. Betty met her daughter-in-law, was in the house, they were chatting, and she says to the daughter-in-law, "I hear you and my son have terrific sex." "Oh," she says, "Yeah, we got terrific sex." She said, "What do you do? Maybe I can learn." She said, "It's simple. When he comes home at night, I greet him at the door. I am stark naked. And when he opens the door, I say, hello, Max. And that's where it all starts. So her mother-in-law says, I'm going to try it. So the next night, she's standing with her door, knock, knock, knock. And it's her husband. She opens up the door and she's stark naked. And she says, holding on to the sill, what do you think of my new outfit? And he says to her, you should have ironed it before you put it on. Betty and Max, another. Two women are chatting. They're chatting in the kitchen. There's a knock on the door. And someone is standing there with a bouquet of roses. And her friend says, who's that? Oh, she says, the florist says, I have a bouquet of roses for so-and-so. So the woman of the house takes the roses, and her friend says to her, what's the occasion? And the woman holding the roses says, oh, this is for our anniversary. And because of this, I'm going to be on my back with my feet up all week long. There's a hesitation. And her friend says to her, don't you have a vase? A mother sits down with her family, and she says, well, let's sit down and have dinner. So they all sit around the table, and suddenly there's a phone call. She answers the phone, and she responds, okay, sure, bring them over. Puts down the phone, she says, oh, my sister and her family are coming here. And look, I want to let you know now, there isn't enough food for everybody. So when I go around the table and say, would you like some? Would you like some? You have to say to me, Ma, I'm not hungry, I don't want to eat. Because if you say that, the mother says, then I'll be able to feed everybody. So the sister comes over with her brood, and the mother goes around the table, and the kids say, oh, Mom, I'm full, I don't have any. Mother says, okay, fine. So she feeds her sister's family, and then the mother says, okay, we're ready for the dessert, but those who didn't eat dinner are not getting dessert. An older woman calls up, dials the phone, gets a young woman on the phone, a very distraught woman. And this young woman says, oh, Ma, am I glad you called? And this older woman says, what's the matter, baby? What's wrong? She says, Ma, my both kids are sick. I can't get out and shop. I can't do anything. I am really going out of my mind. So the mother says, hold on, baby. It's snowing outside. Don't worry. I'll put on my boots, my rain hat. I'll put on an extra sweater, and I'll walk to the train. It takes about 15 minutes with the train. When the train stops, I'll get off, and I'll take the bus another 15 minutes. It's a little cold, but it's not too bad. Tell me what you need. So she tells her. She says, okay, I'll pick it up. It's another 5 blocks to your house. I can walk in the snow. It's not bad. She says, oh, Ma, that would be terrific. Terrific. I knew I could count on you. And the mother says, how is my boy, Max? She says, Max? Who is Max? My husband's name is Herman. So the old lady says, is this Dickens 2468? And the young lady says, no, it's Dickens 2469. Hesitation. And the young woman says, so you're not coming? Two old people decide to share an apartment. They want to save money. So they find an apartment, and she says to him, we got 2 bedrooms. That's going to be yours, and that's going to be mine. He says, fine. And we have 2 bathrooms. So one will be yours, and one will be mine. He says, okay to that too. And on the Frigidaire, she says, you'll have the top shelves, I'll have the bottom. He says, everything is fine, it's all settled. She says, I have one more question to ask you. How about sex? He thinks a minute, and he says, infrequently. And she says to him, is that 1 word or 2 words? During the olden times, people used to copy from books. Scribes, they called them. And they copied and they copied. There was no printing press. So they copied from the old scriptures and they repeated the same things again and again. One of the younger scribes says to the older scribe, you know, maybe we're copying something that's wrong. If there are errors in the scriptures, or there are errors in what we're copying, perhaps we should go check the scriptures and see what's going on. So the old man, the elder, says, I'll go down. Goes down and stays there a long time. The younger scribes run down and they see him holding his head and saying, woe is me, woe is me. And they said, what happened? He says, we left out an R. The word should be celebrate, not celibate. Gotta think what's appropriate. There was 3 guys who were trying to test their